My name is Lex Law, and this is the Daily Blunt's Ontario Election 2018 Primer. So we have a very interesting election coming up here in Ontario this year. Everybody wants the Liberals gone. Well, mostly everybody. And a few months ago, we had a very divided Conservative Party with Patrick Brown at the helm, and he was talking about a lot of issues like carbon tax, that conservative voters were not all that happy with. And I found myself here very excited for the election. I wasn't in the province during the last election, but I've since moved here, and very excited for the election. You know, very happy with all the things that have been going down in the States, the whole Trump revolution, you want to call it. So I was really excited to get involved in this election, because we also have a federal election coming up next year in 2019, where Justin Trudeau will be most certainly voted out. But we have this very similar situation here in Ontario. We're tired of the Liberals, and we're tired of more taxes. We're tired of high hydro rates. We're tired of government forcing our children to learn sex ed curriculums that we don't agree with. And tired of the intersectionality politics, you know, group identity, all the classic liberal talking points. So I was very excited to get started this year on helping out with the Conservative Party and being able to talk to voters and help swing some ridings, and just report on the election, do some journalism. And so a few months ago, I was looking this up. I was like, who's the candidate? What's going on? Who's the leader? And I came across Patrick Brown. And much to my chagrin, he was certainly not the Trumpian sort of, you know, person that can come in and throw the entire political establishment into haywire. And he just had a very weird attitude about him. He had a very, like, toe the line kind of demeanor about him. He kept talking about a very inclusive PC party, and he was a very big fan of carbon tax, and he was talking about more government subsidy for mental illness and things like that. And he did have on the platform lower taxes for middle class families. Now, I'm not sure if that extended to corporations as well, which I think that's lower taxes for people as well as corporations is extremely good. He was also talking about subsidizing daycare and like more money for daycare, when it's like, well, you know, I would think that children should be home with their parents, and if the parents have lower taxes and their business that their parents work for has lower taxes, then families can afford to stay home with their children, so we don't need that. And then better parenting leads to less mental illness, so we don't need to subsidize mental illness. And I really thought he didn't represent me as a conservative voter. And I feel a lot of people within the PC party and voters for the PC party believed that Patrick Brown was not representative of their voice. So I began looking around. You know, the NDP and the Liberals are pretty similar. They like to play identity politics. So and you know, Andrea Horwath. Like, I don't typically prefer female candidates. Like, it would take a very exceptional female candidate for me to vote for her, just because I just think women don't tolerate the stress of office as well. I think some women absolutely can. I think if like Ann Coulter or somebody was running for president or a seat of office or something like that, certainly are some strong women, but I found Andrea Horwath is not the exceptional woman that I would look to vote for. So I checked out the Green Party, and well, they had some good things to say about tax cuts. It seemed that they were more concerned with craft beer and marijuana legalization than they were with hydro rates and taxes. So they were kind of out the window. And so I was thinking, like, oh God, am I gonna have to do a libertarian vote this year? Because, like, I am fundamentally a libertarian, but Libertarian Party, like, they're not going to be able to form a government. They're too small. or they might win a seat if they're lucky. So I figured they didn't. It was kind of a throwaway vote. Like, it was more like I'm taking a stand, I'm making a statement kind of vote. But in an election as crucial as this, like, the win and the Liberals need to go. So I was very concerned, and honestly, my whole excitement for the entire election was completely diminished after I found out about Patrick Brown and was, I watched his video and started reading the People's Guarantee and things like that, and it really just seemed like they were liberal light. And but God works in mysterious ways, and Patrick Brown had this extremely strange scandal where he was basically outed as a PUA, as they would say in that community, and some sexual misconduct allegations. And it's funny because I was thinking when I was evaluating Patrick Brown as a candidate that he didn't seem like the kind of guy who would be able to tough it out through the hard times. How's this guy going to operate when things get hard, when things get rough? And he showed completely his incapability of doing that when he got accused. He immediately stepped down. Like, they weren't even accusing him of sexual assault. Like, they weren't accusing him of raping anybody or taking advantage of women that were under him. He more or less just went out on dates with some other adults, took them back to his apartment, tried to make out with them. They didn't really like it, and then he drove them home and apologized. And so he wasn't even under assault for sexual assault or anything like that, or anything serious. And he completely left the part, he stepped down right away. His whole support abandoned him. And then he was talking about running for his old job again. And it was the weirdest thing. It was the weirdest thing. So I'm so glad that he's gone. And we were concerned about who was going to win the PC leadership, and it's so close to the election, and having a leadership race right now is not the best thing. But it seems that Doug Ford, he has won. He is the PC candidate for this election. He's the leader of the Ontario PC party. And there's a real excitement in the air amongst conservatives. I'm walking down the street and I'm talking to people, and I'm meeting with other people who find out there's more conservatives around here than you think. And people seem excited and happy about Doug Ford. He sounds like he's a solid guy. He has views on things like abortion that social conservatives are very concerned about. He's very concerned about taking down the establishment. It's more of a grassroots populist movement, similar to the whole Donald Trump thing going on in the States. And that's a very interesting comparison. I was very excited that when the Trump election thing was going on, or in the aftermath of it, I wished that I could have been more involved, and that was something that was happening here, and we have Trudeau, and it's kind of the complete opposite. But as soon as Doug Ford got the nomination, you could feel this air of a new life being breathed into the Conservative Party, to the PC party here in Ontario. So I'm very excited about Doug Ford, and I'm just going to say right now, I do support Doug Ford. Daily Blunt supports Doug Ford. We are going to be giving very positive coverage of him, but we're going to try to do our best to stay unbiased. We're going to call him out on his mistakes when he does something wrong. We're going to give fair evaluation to the other candidates as well. I just want to precursor that here. But the conservative movement is very much alive and well today here in Ontario. So I'm going to just give you a brief overview of what we're going to be doing here in the coming weeks to get you ready for the election. We really want to encourage people to go out and vote. We really want to spread the message, that the PC party is a new party. It's different. It's not the same elite-driven, money-sucking party, that liberal light party that it was throughout for the last 16 years how the Liberals have been here. I remember when I was a child, I lived here, and I remember when Dalton McGuinty won, and my dad was super excited and all that stuff. And I didn't know any better, and I was like, oh great, things are gonna be good here. And then 15 years later, after the Liberals, it's so little what parents know sometimes. But anyway, so we're very excited to be covering the election. We want to get as many people involved as we can. We really want to get Doug Ford voted in so we can start. Ontario can be open for business, as he would say again. We can get this hydro problem dealt with. We can get these taxes dealt with. We can stop having the government teach our kids sex ed. Like, they're teaching our kids about anal sex in like grade 4 or something like that. It's insane. And so in the coming weeks here at the Daily Blunt, I'm going to be doing a number of videos. We're going to be getting out there and doing some election coverage whenever some candidates are going on in the area. We're going to be attending events. We're going to go talk to people on the street, see what the general populace has to say about the election and about the candidates. But the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to do a detailed breakdown of all the candidates. We're going to start with, I would like to start with Doug Ford. I'm not sure when their new platform is going to be released. So I might start with Kathleen Wynne and at first, and then do Doug Ford after. I want to do Doug Ford first because it's certainly going to be the most positive and upbeat and exciting one. Kind of like, you know, the Luke Skywalker versus, you know, Darth Vader. We're going to start with Luke Skywalker, you know, bring in Darth Vader after. But we might start with Kathleen Wynne. But we're going to do Wynne and Ford in their own video, and then the NDP and the Greens and Libertarians and whatnot, we're going to just kind of throw them all into their own video. I know that the NDP does form governments, like provincial governments here in Canada, and you know, they have been the official opposition federally in the past, and but as the saying goes, if it ain't blue or red, it's probably dead. So I don't have a whole lot of sympathies for the NDP. I feel that they're like kind of an offshoot of the Liberal Party as well. Like, I'm really not into government distribution of wealth, social programs, things like that. But to be fair, I mean, I haven't looked at the NDP's platform a whole lot yet, so I don't know a whole lot about Andrea Horwath. That could change. But I'm certainly not going to be voting for them. But so we're going to do a video on them. We're going to do the Greens, the Libertarians. Maybe Andrea Horwath gets her own video, but we're probably going to put them all in their own video there. So we're going to do a candidate breakdown the candidates. We're going to go over their platforms. We're going to talk about the pros of each candidate, the cons of each candidate. And then we're going to start doing videos. We're going to look at the map. We're going to look at the political map. We're going to figure out what the swing ridings are, and we're going to get an idea of where the real battles need to be fought, because people are very confident that Doug Ford will win. At the very least, they're very confident that no matter what, Wynne is not going to win, and I certainly share those views. However, we can't let our guard down and become sloppy. We need to go out there. We need to be active. We need to talk to people. We need to volunteer. I joined. Full disclosure, I am a member of the Ontario PC Party. I joined recently. I've offered to volunteer. So there will be some biases that come into the videos. But like I said, I'm pretending to be a journalist here. So I'm going to do my best to give you an unbiased and fair evaluation of each candidate. Like I said, if Doug Ford does something ridiculous, he doesn't get a free pass. And if the other candidates do something good, we'll point that out as well. But it's a very important election. We're going to break down candidates. We're going to break down the ridings. And hopefully by then we have the campaigns are starting, and we can actually start hitting the road and going out and talking to Ontarians. So I'm very excited to be doing all this, and I hope you are too, and I hope you'll stay tuned here to the Daily Blunt, and let's bring the blue wave back to Ontario.